Welcome to SportsBeat KC, the Kansas City Star's daily sports podcast. It's Tuesday, November 2nd. I'm Blair Kirchhoff. The Chiefs got a victory on Monday Night Football against the New York Giants, but struggled to do so. Harrison Butker's 34-yard field goal with 1:07 remaining provided the winning points, and the defense sealed it with a pair of sacks on the final drive, but not a thing of beauty, this Chiefs victory. Star columnist Sam Mellinger and Vahe Gregorian, along with beat writer Sam McDowell and Herbie Teope, chatted about the game about 90 minutes after it ended and wondered about all that continues to ail this team. The show started as a SportsBeat Live, and now it's a SportsBeat KC podcast. Here's what we had to say about the Chiefs' victory on Monday Night Football. Hey, good morning from Arrowhead Stadium, and welcome to SportsBeat Live, the Chiefs post-game show edition. We're talking about a victory tonight, which is different than last week. The Chiefs defeated the New York Giants on Monday Night Football 20-17. I have finished writing for the evening, but others have not. So we'll hear from Sam McDowell and Sam Mellinger, Herbie Teope, and Vahe Gregorian during the show. But we absolutely want to hear from you. What did you think about the game? Let's you and I have a conversation about what we saw tonight on GEHA Field at Arrowhead Stadium. We have already gotten a few people to weigh in. Todd Bryan is with us. And Todd, you got some good questions here. What's up with Kelsey dropping passes? Patrick should have teamed up with Tyreek all night long. I absolutely wondered about what kind of a low energy night for Travis Kelce here. They got one target early, right on the first series, the one reception for 3 yards, and after that was not targeted the rest of the first half, and of course had the terrible fumble, one of the two turnovers for the Chiefs. That came early in the fourth quarter, set up the Giants touchdown that allowed them to go ahead 17-14. So just a tough night for Kelce. After the game, talking to Patrick Mahomes was revealing. Said that he'd been looking for Kelce, but not covered as he has been for much of the year. Single covered, and then with help over the top makes it difficult for Patrick Mahomes to find Travis Kelce. Little bit easier finding Tyreek Hill tonight, right? 10 receptions for about 95 yards or so. So productive night for Tyreek Hill. Also had the touchdown reception. Roy asks about Daniel Sorensen. Why is he still getting snaps, particularly covering deep? I don't get it. You and everybody else watching the Chiefs does not understand that. The Chiefs had taken the 7-0 lead, had survived the first turnover, the Patrick Mahomes interception in the red zone, because Willie Gay came back and made this terrific play, the interception that he made. So that set up the Chiefs for the short field touchdown. They take the 7-zip lead, and I thought the Chiefs were about to get the Giants off the field, but the 50-yard completion over Daniel Sorensen playing deep kept the Giants drive alive, possession alive. They went down and scored the tying touchdown. And of course, Sorensen was also beat on the short touchdown pass by Daniel Jones later in the game. So we were kind of all shaking our heads about why Sorensen is on the field. He's absolutely getting fewer snaps than he was earlier the year when he was starting. But it's as if when 49 comes on the field for the Chiefs, the opponent looks for him, and more often than not, they're succeeding when targeting Daniel Sorensen. It was a little bit surprising to me that we saw him as much as we did. I'll be interested to see when the snap counts come out tomorrow, just how much Daniel Sorensen played. So in this game tonight, let's just we'll go over a couple things. Look, the Chiefs. 17-17 when they get the ball with 4 minutes and 41 seconds remaining, and defense did a good job to force a punt there by the Giants. But I turned to my colleagues and said, if the Chiefs don't come down here and score and win this game, then I think this season could be lost. If they had not played well, they had They could not put away a team that they were a 10.5-point favorite against. And if they were to somehow lose this game, then who knows where the season goes? It doesn't go to the playoffs, and that would have been a shocking development. But they did do that. They did go the length of the field after a difficult start, a holding penalty, and pushed them back right away. But they made some big plays. They got the 24-yard pitch and catch from Mahomes to McCole Hardman. Turns out to be the longest play from scrimmage for the Chiefs tonight, and so they go down to get the field goal, and then the defense. Look, I thought the defense actually had a good game. This is obviously not the Baltimore Ravens they're playing or the Buffalo Bills. It was the New York Giants, but this was the defense ended up having a good game tonight, and they came up big on the last possession. Chris Jones with his first sack since opening day of the season, and then Frank Clark with his first sack of the season on fourth down got the Giants off the field and secured the Chiefs' victory. Sam McDowell's joined us. Hey, Sam.
What's going on, Blair?
Not much.
How's the audio?
So you sound good.
Okay, cool.
So I'm trying to. A lot of people are asking about this game and trying to big picture it a little bit. Listen, it's not a victory that exactly inspires confidence in this team going forward, but it's not a loss either. And I think as we were talking during the game, if they had lost this game, I think we would have thought very differently about the Chiefs the rest of the way.
Yeah, I mean, I think I feel differently about them regardless, but I don't think I would have viewed them as a playoff team had they lost this game. One piece of that is this is their easiest game, really their only easy game left on the schedule. The last 9 looked pretty brutal, so I think they would have been too far behind at 3-5, but certainly not a win that instills a lot of confidence. I didn't feel like the post-game press conferences seemed like we talked to guys that were feeling great about a win on Monday Night Football. I didn't feel like this crowd was electric, like a Monday Night Football victory. It's like you mentioned, it's certainly better to win the football game, of course. But I still leave tonight feeling like this team has a lot more problems than solutions tonight.
Well, and some of the problems are what we've been seeing throughout the season. That's what's mad.
More worrisome, right? I mean, these are trends. It's not like, they just had an off night. I think maybe even in Tennessee, you could have chalked it up to that was the first time where, it wasn't just the turnovers and penalties that hurt them. They just played a really bad football game in Nashville. But they played a bad football game here in Kansas City tonight too. And stacking those back to back, Andy Reid said tonight that it's a new team. There's some new guys. You've got to give it some time because of that. We're 8 weeks into the season. The old 16-game schedule, this season would be half over. I mean, that's not part of the luxury of the NFL, is taking some time to get it together. But to your point, Blair, the fact that it's the same things, if you were seeing improvement in these areas from week to week, I think that would be a lot more plausible. But I actually, three of the quarterback's worst 5 quarterback rating games are in the last 23 days. So I think that I do still think that there's more cause for alarm right now than I felt going into a game that they just won.
Yeah. So just to clearly identify him, and Sam Mellinger's here. Hey, Sam. 12 penalties for 103 yards and two more turnovers to stack on the pile. That gives him 19 for the season. That is by 4 the most in the NFL, and no team that has I think I saw this graphic. No team that has as many as 12 turnovers has a winning record. The Chiefs with 19 are 4-4 on the season. So it's just same old. And the only thing that has changed is the quality of the opponent, right? The Chiefs are 3-0 against the NFC least, and with the toughest team left on the schedule, Dallas in a few weeks. and they're 1-4 against the AFC. So, Sam, how much confidence did the Chiefs inspire in you tonight?
A negative amount. I just look. I thought before the game that the Chiefs could have won this game by 3 touchdowns and not generated any confidence. Just because of the context, what you've been talking about. That 19 turnovers, by the way, they had 16 all last season, so they've already raced past that number. And it's the same problems all the time. And then I thought today, Mahomes wasn't as bad as he was last week, but he wasn't as much better as he should have been. There were inaccurate passes. The offense was never in a rhythm. It was just it was a mess. I mean, the Giants really should have won this game, but the Giants are a mess as well, right? They had a lot of bad penalties, some problems like that. So it feels like the wrong time to go Packers, Raiders, Cowboys. But here we are, and on a short week.
Maybe the level of competition will raise the level of their play. Who knows? It hasn't so far, right? That hasn't happened. I thought a couple of really good observations here. Terrence says Patrick's not playing with the usual level of confidence right now. Offense hasn't corrected the turnover issue, and at this point, I don't know if it will. I agree. I keep waiting for that game where it happens, and of course, we didn't have to wait long tonight. Chiefs lose the toss, get the ball first, drive the length of the field with a lot of nice vertical passing routes, right? Tyreek Hill going sideways instead of up and down, and then it ends with an all too familiar moment. Patrick Mahomes is pressured, panics a little bit, and throws a ball that I think was intended for Josh Gordon. Was it Josh Gordon? Did we agree that it was Josh Gordon was the target there? And it bounces in the air and boom, it's intercepted in the end zone. Another red zone turnover for the Chiefs. I saw this graphic after the game. I don't know if I've got the numbers switched, but you'll get the general idea that in Patrick Mahomes' first 3 seasons, he had 4 turnovers. The Chiefs had 4 turnovers in the red zone, and this year they've had 3. And it may be 4 and 3 or 3 and 4. I don't, but you get the idea. They've had just almost as many this year or more than they did in his first 3 years. I just kind of wait for something bad to happen to the Chiefs when they get into the red zone. Who's going to fumble? What's going to happen?
Blair, you were saying out loud in the press box actually here that here comes a turnover on that opening drive, and that's just sort of indicative of where this team is right now, right? I mean, I actually agree with the comment that I don't think Patrick Mahomes is playing with the confidence that we've seen him play with. But I also think he's got reason not to play with the confidence that he's played with in the past. I mean, things aren't going well. Teams are taking away. What's so interesting about this season for the Chiefs is the other 31 teams in the NFL prepare for a new defense every single week. The Chiefs are preparing for the exact same defense every single week. A team is willing to wipe out its defensive scheme just to play that way against the Chiefs. And it's the 2 deep safeties that we talk about all the time, but lately it's been just so much extra attention to Travis Kelce, which is good. His go-to option, especially on third down, a safety net that he's been for him, and it's taken away Tyreek Hill over the top. And there's not enough other guys getting open. That's obviously part of the problem. But I did think Mahomes missed some throws and some guys open tonight. Byron Pringle was wide open down the sideline. I don't know if the TV cameras caught that. Obviously the Josh Gordon throw. I actually thought Josh Gordon was open for a bit on that touchdown pass. And then he missed Tyreek Hill deep. And he only gets one of those a game now. He doesn't get 4 or 5 chances those a game. So it's certainly magnified when he misses one. But just to kind of put a bow on that, I think that the comment about him not playing with I'd say, same sort of swagger that what we've seen him play with recently is spot on.
Well, let's say hello to Herbie, and I want to come back to that point, Sam, because you said something interesting that I think is worth diving into a little bit. So, Herbie, how you sounded, baby?
Well, hopefully there's no static, right?
Much better than you've sounded in weeks. So that's great to see. Great to see. Well, let's start with, hey, what did Chiefs come out of this okay health wise?
Oh yeah, absolutely. The only one of note would have been Marcus Kemp, but he did come out, as Coach Andy Reid said, he quickly cleared the concussion protocol, so they didn't have any injuries. That's a good thing.
Yeah, and I hate to mention his name in this context, but kind of a bad game for Marcus Kemp, right? He got the penalty on the one punt coverage, and he failed to pick up a fumble on another one. So here's a guy that they really depend on to make big time special teams plays, and it just didn't happen for him. So, but hey, to go back to a point that you were making, Sam McDowell, I thought it was really interesting about if the Chiefs are playing against the same defense every week, shouldn't we see more progress from their offense, knowing what's going to be there? I turned to Herbie early in the game, and I'm saying at least when the ball is snapped, it seems like it's 11 on 9 because two safeties are 20 yards from the line of scrimmage. And at that point, shouldn't you have plenty of options, at your disposal?
Yeah, I mean that's the whole idea is that the underneath stuff is what's there. That's what the Chiefs took on that opening drive. I mean, Mahomes was 8 for 8 on the very first drive of the game. It's also why the drive that they decided to go to Derek Gore was so successful because the run is also there a lot. I think that what we're seeing is a team that's so used to being able to make the spectacular plays is not able to make them anymore because the defense taken away from it, and it's just sort of ingrained in some of these guys, and maybe even the coach a little bit too. I think players naturally want to make spectacular plays, and when the defense takes it away, I think there's just some stuff being forced right now.
I also keep thinking, I don't know if this was the plan originally when teams started really exaggerating the two high safeties, but I think it's turned into this thing where teams see that the quarterback is really frustrated. And they're building on that, and they think like he's gonna break at some point. He's not gonna just take the underneath stuff, and we can force a mistake and do it that way. I think that's become a real weapon in defending the Chiefs for sure.
The other thing, as I watch this offense, become what it's become, I used to think there were times when 3rd and 8, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 12, that was Mahomes' time, right? And now when the Chiefs get a penalty on first down, it's 1st and 20. I'm thinking they're done. Let's hope Tommy Townsend's ready to go. Hope he's going to have a good game because they just can't seem to overcome that with the type of offense that they've been forced to operate out of this season. So it's just it's a level of frustration that I'm reading in the comments from folks, and some are of the mindset that look, they got to win, they got a W. It's they didn't get their butt kicked like they did last week, but I'm kind of fearful. You mentioned the stretch coming up, Sam. It's going to be very difficult for the Chiefs over the next month, really, to stay above, to try to get above 500.
Rest of the season. Brutal. I mean, we looked this up during the game, Blair. Their last 9 games are all against teams that are 500 or better right
now. McDowell and I were talking about this at halftime. I've been waiting for that aha moment from this Chiefs team, and we've seen it a lot over the last 2 seasons. We have not seen it yet, and it's week 8. And the thing that really discouraged me tonight was anything less than a blowout against a Giants offense that was missing Kenny Golladay and Saquon Barkley, and the Giants gave them a handful. And to me, that's very alarming when you do talk about the upcoming games. I heard Sam as I was walking through the lobby over there, and he had mentioned the Packers game, and that's just going to be a brutal matchup to me.
And who'd have thought? I mean, who would have thought in the preseason that we would think about the Packers game or any game on the schedule as a brutal matchup? John asks what do we think the line is for Sunday? The preliminary line is out, and the Chiefs, believe it or not, are a 3-point favorite over the Green Bay Packers, who are 7-1, will have played the previous Thursday versus Monday for the Chiefs. and just went to Arizona and beat the last undefeated team in the NFL. So the Packers are rolling with a 7-1 record coming in here.
Hey, it's Blair. We have a special subscription offer for SportsBeat KC listeners, unlimited digital access to the Kansas City Star's award-winning sports coverage. Sign up now for 1 year of Sports Pass for access to all the sports news, features, and columns presented on the kansascity.com site, and it's only $30. That's a 40% savings off our regular rate. Your subscription will automatically renew after the initial term at $50 unless you tell us to cancel. Your subscription helps support the sports coverage of kansascity.com and the Kansas City Star, and that support has never been more important. Please visit kansascity.com/SportsBeatKC offer to get this special offer. And as always, thanks for listening.
So, Mel, I usually do ask you after a game what you wrote about. What was the tone and tenor of the column?
Unfortunately, and this probably isn't much of a sell for people to click, but the tone and tenor was similar to tones and tenors that I've had before, just because it seems like the same stuff. I mean, I'm trying to focus on the coach a little bit more. I think he's in a really interesting place. I mean, like when the Chiefs were doing this, going from 2-14 to the Super Bowl, Mahomes and Reed got the most credit, right? And I think it's only fair now that it goes the other way. And I think that, look, he's going to be a legend here no matter what, right? The first coach to win the Super Bowl in 50 years and all these things. But, I do think that there's another chapter to be written, and that's going right now. And I think that this was supposed to be a dynasty, and I know that's an unforgiving standard, but that's what they earned and that's what they welcome. That's what they wanted. And gosh, if this goes the way that it looks like, it's going to be, this next chapter is not going to be what anybody expected.
Well, and to be done in possibly by a defensive adjustment, right? And not have the ability to adjust back to that, or at least it's taking a long time to adjust back to that, isn't it? Again, you know what you're going to get every week, and it's like Herbie pointed it out. As soon as the Giants defense took the field, they played two center fielders, and they're 20 yards, 25 yards off the ball. And anyway,
well, one thing that I think is true, if you talk about the too high for the first 5 years or 6 years, whatever, the Alex Smith years, the Chiefs turned themselves into a contender with an offense that pretty much only did the intermediate stuff, without having two safeties deep. And so it's kind of baffling that now they can't do it. That just it doesn't make any sense. They have coaches and players who have proven they can do it. Why can't they do it? It makes no sense.
Yeah, to me, and Sam, weigh in here in a second, but let me just say, you supposedly have an offensive mastermind as a head coach, one of the greatest offensive minds in the history of the game. And something's not taking for this team. And I've noticed with a couple of the comments, the way Andy sounded and looked in the post game, he does seem a little beaten down by the play of his team here. I don't know if you guys agree, but I get it in his voice, and he seemed a little bit relieved, and he didn't have to explain a loss, but also still disturbed by the mistakes that he's seeing on the field.
Yeah, Andy's quotes were, he said things aren't as smooth right now as maybe it was then. He did say, but we'll get there. And he also acknowledged later, he said, everything's not beautiful right now, but we're fighting through that. Those I thought were his two most candid comments, because they're his two most accurate comments. This team has to fight and claw to move the chains. And it's so jarring to see, just because of how different it was and how it just seems like a switch flipped about 4 weeks into the season. And I think that they're in a situation where bad luck has turned into bad habits. this, the turnovers were a lot of product of bad luck. And I think that for a while, the quarterback got reluctant. Then the quarterback tried to do too much in Tennessee. I will say the one thing I thought he did better tonight is he stayed in the pocket more tonight. He wasn't scrambling all over the place. The first touchdown to Tyreek Hill was actually a product of him stepping up in the pocket instead of scrambling left to right. And that's why that touchdown's able to happen. So I guess, if you're looking for something positive, I think that's probably it. But it seems like a team that's just lost its way. Still time to get it back. I mean, they're 4-4, but the schedule's brutal. It's got to happen quickly. We know, like Sam said, it's the same coach, it's the same quarterback, it's the same core of the team, which is why we keep comparing them to what they've done the past 3 years. It's just largely the same locker room.
Larry asks if we think this team is tough enough to change and run the ball. They did have some success on the ground today, and from an unexpected source in Derek Gore. All of a sudden, in his third NFL game, he gets his first NFL carry and his first NFL touchdown. So a nice moment for Derek Gore, who finished college in 2018, but did not make an NFL debut until the game at Washington a couple weeks ago. And of course, he's playing because of the injury to Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So Frederick asks if we think the health issue could be affecting Andy Reid. I don't think so. I don't think that's it. So people have asked about the Britt Reid situation too, and we talk and have written about that as well. Without hearing it straight from Andy, it's just not. We don't. How should I say? We have asked Andy about that and other, just other possibilities for why this, why this team is struggling like it is, and he dismisses those as possibilities for that. So it's not a great answer, but that's what we've got from the Chiefs.
One thing, like, I get it; those dots are there to be connected, right? And I get why people are doing that, but I don't think it's that simple at all, ever. But specifically in this situation, when that what we were just talking about, this man turned around the 2012 Chiefs and turned them into what they've become, and he did that out of one of the lowest moments of his personal and professional life. So he does not have a track record of getting off focus, and it's not natural, that he has this track record, but he's got it. So I just, all that stuff was not why Daniel Sorensen got beat. It's just I think there's a lot more to it. And I think we're all guilty of this, right? We look for simple solutions, but I don't think that's one of them.
Okay. All right. So, hey, look, we've kept everybody up late tonight and really appreciate you guys tuning in. A lot of good questions and comments as usual, and wish there was more upbeat stuff to say about the Chiefs. But hey, maybe they'll pull the upset next week and beat the Green Bay Packers, and people will feel differently about this team.
Not an upset, Blair. They're the favorite.
You're right, as we are reminded. Hey, so Sam McDowell, as the resident odds-making guru, where do you expect the line to be by kickoff?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would expect it to be less than the 3 points it is. I did read this week, though, that the Chiefs would only be underdogs against 4 teams on a neutral field. Now, the Packers were one of them. So, Vegas still likes the Chiefs. The people that do that sort of thing still view them as one of the very best teams. Just haven't shown it for 8 weeks now.
That's right. Okay, Todd's got him as a 10-point favorite. We'll end on that note. So, Sam Mellinger, Herbie Teope, Sam McDowell, and I'll speak for Vahe Gregorian, who is still writing, and we'll have Vahe on Friday. Please join us Friday, 9:30 in the morning for our pregame SportsBeat Live, when we talk about all things Chiefs and Packers. Beth Welsh, thank you so much for producing tonight, and we will talk to you guys on Friday.
That'll do it for today. Thanks to our SportsBeat KC production staff of Beth Welsh, Monty Davis, Jeff Rosen, and Chris Fickett. Tip of the cap to Sam Mellinger, Sam McDowell, Herbie Teope, and Vahe Gregorian for stopping by and talking Chiefs after the game last night. Links to their stories can be found in the show notes and on kansascity.com. So let's talk a moment about the morning sports edition. If you're not seeing it, you're really missing out. On kansascity.com, go to the Stars e-edition. That's a replica of the printed newspaper on your screen that comes with your digital subscription. Now there's an updated sports section produced separately that goes along with it. When you open the e-edition, there's a box in the upper right-hand corner that says All Editions. Click on that, and you can access anywhere from, 15 to 30 to 50 to 60 pages of sports. You also can get it through a link in your email. I do, and it's there by about 6 a.m. every morning. But however you see it, you know what I'm talking about. It's complete coverage of the previous day's sports news, features, statistics, everything. It's fantastic. Okay, hey, thanks for reading the Star and listening to our podcast lineup. You're helping support the best sports and news coverage in Kansas City, and we couldn't produce programs like SportsBeat KC without you. We'll be back on Wednesday with another episode. Hope to see you then.